Hello. Welcome back to the Warhammer Book Club podcast and YouTube channel. Happening on almost its own YouTube channel now, apart from Tale of Four Gamers, those interlopers.
I'll buy to Ian's precinct house.
Yeah, we've got our own channel now for reasons that I think I've gone through on the main channel loads now. So yeah, anyway, hi, welcome back. I'm Arbiter Ian.
I'm Mira Manga.
We're getting really good at saying that. And we both have all our own stuff that you can go and look at if you like the things we do.
I have merch.
Mira has merch. She's wearing some of it now.
Ian has merch.
I also have merch. I'm not wearing it right now. You can probably listen. Actually, you know what? Right now, you can listen to some of the authors talk about their short stories in the book we're going to talk about, which is
Age of Darkness
by various authors.
Yes.
And you've already interviewed a few of them on your channel about their books.
Talked to Dan Abnett. I've spoken to Christian Dunn, who edited this. Yeah. So and possibly more. So have a look on my channel.
An impressive beard.
Beards akimbo.
Yeah, beards akimbo everywhere. So yeah, we're going to do Age of Darkness. We've reached that point in the Horus Heresy where it's the second of about 40 billion anthology books. Yeah, they released so many short stories. They started just calling them books and packaging them together. So this is the second one. We've done one before.
Yes,
Tales of Heresy, which we enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then there's this one, which has all sorts of things in it. So we're going to do that now. In a scheduled programming break, because this is an anthology, now it means it's your problem.
It's our tradition that if there's an anthology, I have to do the notes.
Yeah, that's true.
I have to lead on it.
Yeah. So you're going to say what happens, and I'm going to go, oh yeah, I remember.
Yay.
That's how this is going to work. Brilliant. We do have a tea to drink with it.
Yes, we have a tea.
Yeah, we do. We've gone with a tea of darkness.
A tea of darkness,
so just black
look
tea.
at that.
I've got, this is Prince Vladimir tea, which we've had before. It's sort of,
it's a lovely smoky.
Yes, a smoky, like Russian thing. It's nice. And you need to have it in your cup of darkness here, which is the shape of a spooky ghost.
Oh my gosh, this is so...
I get this, the spooky ghost cup. There we are. In the list of things in every one of these videos. It is great if you're listening to the podcast. And then I will get you some milk of darkness.
Thank you.
Which is oat milk. And of course, we've, even if you want, got a biscuit of darkness.
Have we?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a good idea to eat them on microphone. But ASMR bit. Do you want some? Yeah.
Yes. Ian's... I
don't have a spoon of darkness, though.
Ian's mug of darkness is a little happy pumpkin.
Yeah, my mug of darkness is a happy pumpkin. We've both got spooky mugs of darkness.
Cheers to the Age of Darkness.
Yeah, and there's some biscuits of darkness, which are...
these look like very sacred.
Digestives today.
The digestives.
All the British people in the audience will immediately know what this is. I've been having a lot of fun recently because my partner is an American, introducing her to what she insists on calling cookies, and all the different sorts of cookie one can buy for pennies in supermarkets here. And but I haven't yet started her on digestives. So, but we've gone through rich teas, which are apparently exactly like a different sort of biscuit you get in America.
No.
Yeah, they are. There's a different sort. And we've gone through bourbons, obviously.
We're going to get hate comments for eating.
I'm sure we shouldn't be doing this, but if you dunk it, it crunches less.
Do you ever hear from your podcast audience?
Yeah, but not about biscuits.
Or tea.
Okay, really.
Good to know.
Anyway, yeah, so that's what we're doing. So welcome, podcast listeners. I will attempt to dunk my biscuit before eating it, which is a tradition, and that will make it less crunchy.
And I'm just going to go...
If we screwed the whole thing up, then sorry.
Sorry about it. I'm just going to go through this because I'm feeling quite anxious because Ian is known as probably the best deliverer of Warhammer lore.
Well, thank you.
In the world.
That is what people say in the comments.
That is exactly what they say. So, please bear in mind, Ian has had very little to do with the production of this other than tea. So,
oh no.
Show them what's happening.
Oh no. Okay, I'm sorry everybody.
I talk about an Age of Darkness.
That is the sound. ASMR. That is the sound of a biscuit not fitting in the bloody teacup. All right, I'm going to have to munch my way around this. But anyway, hold on, I have to do the next bit. It's my turn.
Yes, Ian. Summary. Without further ado, please will you give us your action movie plot summary of Age of Darkness?
In a world of darkness, not that one, many people do many things, all of them dark.
Okay.
Will Gilliman figure out who he's meant to be fighting? Oh, I don't know. Sounds pretty dark. Will those that salamander and that Iron Hand guy decide whether they're going to make the planet go to the side of the Emperor or Horus? Well, not sure. Seems pretty dark. Will a lone stranger in a Wild West town use a giant hoist to make everyone evil? Oh, I don't know. Sounds a bit dark. Find out in Age of Darkness.
Woo!
That was pretty good. I just made that up on the spot.
Did you?
I did, yeah.
Wow, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ian.
So yeah, what are we doing then?
So I'm going to take you through the stories one
Right.
at a time.
Good.
And I was going to ring a little bell to mark each, but it
we
was
tested
too
that.
sonorous.
Yeah, it's really,
it was
really
too
loud.
sonorous. So, okay, I won't do that either. I'll think of different sounds. The first story in this book is by everybody's favourite, Graham McNeill. And Graham McNeill writes a short story called Rules of Engagement.
Yes.
My one-line summary for this story is, godlike Gilliman is a man with a prescient plan.
It's true.
So I'm going to give a plot summary. The Ultramarines must set aside their qualms and follow the Primarch's directions, no matter the cost. So essentially, they're doing war troops movements.
Really confusing
and
at the start.
they must follow the edict, which is a book that Gilliman has written. And they're like, are we winning? Doesn't seem like a good strategy. And everyone's like, no, you must trust this book. And basically, I was thinking from the very beginning, is Gilliman allowed to write a book? Everyone else who's written a book seems like a bit of a bad fella.
Gilliman likes writing books, yeah.
So I was very, very worried. The story is a bit confusing because it's a flash forward set after the Battle of Calth, which
yes.
I don't even know if I'll get up to in the Heresy. I think it might be a 40k thing.
No, it's soon.
Okay,
it's after
it's soon.
Deliverance Lost. Yeah.
So it hasn't happened, but the Ultramarines all know about the Heresy. It's an open thing now, and it's out there. And apparently, Ultramar's under attack from many traitor legions. So we meet Captain Remus
Ventanus, yeah. Remus, yeah.
Easy for you to say, of the troublesome Fourth Company. And they are engaging in loads of different skirmishes and full-out battles with the Death Guard, World Eaters, Salamanders.
Fighting the Salamanders.
So we get lots of Salamanders in this book, which I'm happy about. And Sons of Horus, using the tactics in this new book that they've written, the Codex Astartes. Is this a real thing?
Yeah. Yeah, he writes the Codex Astartes, which after the Heresy is what splits them up into chapters and tells them how to organise themselves.
Wow.
And he starts writing it in the Heresy because he's trying to develop new ways for Space Marines to fight.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I love it. So this is the origin story almost of the Codex Astartes. So throughout this, there is a battle and you're hoping, oh my God, the Ultramarines, please don't let them lose their planet.
Yeah, because it's really confusing because you're fighting who? And there's all of them there and Horus is there and they don't tell you until later on.
There's a bait and switch.
They're all the Ultramarines.
Graham McNeill.
Yeah.
Graham McNeill.
Everyone's an Ultramarine.
Yes, so they're basically doing, to blow, please don't listen to this if you haven't read it yet, but to blow the story, they're basically doing tactical movements.
Yeah.
And it's the Ultramarines fighting themselves.
Yeah.
And this is all just an exercise to see if the Codex will work. It's revealed that Horus was actually Gilliman, and all of the fights were mock battles for Gilliman to test his Codex, which he admits probably still needs some work and will never be perfect.
Which is important.
Which I thought might be important.
Because in 40k, there's an awful lot of chapters who are like, this is the holy work of the Primarch. It's the perfect tactical treatise. Yeah.
Good to know. They don't have good info on the war, which is why they had the test fight against the Salamanders. And they're not sure if they're loyal. Because Ultramarines being Ultramarines, they're like, ooh, you're a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
You're basic, Salamanders. And it also was revealed in this story that Gilliman has a semi-heretical notion, Imperium Secundus.
Yeah, that will come up way later.
So that is also a thing. What is Imperium Secundus?
Well, I mean, I don't know how much I want to spoil. It's like a few books in, and it's what the Primarchs trapped very far away from Terra and not knowing if the Emperor's still around decide they should do.
Oh.
Because they're like, well, what if Terra's fallen? So we need to find a new Emperor and try and keep it alive.
Oh, and is that new Emperor Gilliman?
No.
Or Dawn?
No.
I don't want to know anymore. This makes me feel very upset and angry. So Graham McNeill, one of the best things about his writing is I really hate warfare. You know, as you know, I find it very difficult to read combat stuff. But it's really, you know, you're very concerned because obviously you think the stakes at Ultramar and some great writing about war. Even when I was hearing about this epic stuff and we move them here and move this there, I was like, I know about military strategy now.
Yeah. Sounds convincing.
So do you remember this story?
Yeah, I do, yeah. I did read this book recently, like a few months back, though. I just didn't take any notes because you're doing it because it's the anthology.
I feel so scared.
I really like this one. It is weird, isn't it, that it's... I think it is a little bit weird, isn't it, like how far people were thinking, because 2 books after this is when you get the Battle of Calth. And Imperium Secundus is like, I don't know, like a fair amount of books after that.
Yeah.
Like it's a number of books after that. So it's interesting that these are brought up, that we're starting here. Also in 2 weeks after this is No Fear, which is the Ultramarines' big book. Yeah. And is when they come in and you learn about them and Calth and all that. Remus is a main character. We also have another main character as like the guy who thinks maybe we should start practicing against other Space Marines. Like all these things are plot. So I wonder how much of this was written then, given that that's what it's set in this weird position. This
is why Ian's such value for money. Like, I read the book, so I'm going to get the additional from Ian, and
I spoiled it already.
No, it's not spoiled. You've titillated. Which you're very good at doing. So what Christian Dunn I spoke to, he was saying at this point in time, the High Lords of Terror, who were most of the authors involved in writing on this, they all believed at this point the heresy was going to be 16 to 18 books long.
Right, so we're halfway through.
So they are planning, and I think that's a really good observation because he describes as being in the room at all these meetings. So, and a lot of these short stories were coming out in, like, I think maybe it was Inferno, I might have got that wrong.
Or like in website things.
And ebooks.
Yeah.
And a lot of people at this time, 2011, weren't really that keen on ebooks. So these were going under the radar. So this compilation comes together to tie lots and lots of bits in.
Yeah, interesting.
And it does seem very, like, Tales of the Heresy seemed a bit more sporadic. This does seem to be like filling in
actual gaps. Like what's happening around the galaxy.
Yeah.
So Gilliman, what's interesting is I think you probably still could have done this story before it being set after Calth, because it's the sort of thing Gilliman would do anyway, right?
It sounds like
it's like Gilliman. I'm doing a war game to test out my codex.
Yeah.
You all guys will pretend to be Eldar, and I'll be
I'll be Tau, you be Eldar.
Yeah, all that. And so it's interesting the choice to then set it there, but yeah, and maybe love that. Did you enjoy?
I did. I mean, I haven't really had my "this is your Ultramarines" greeting moment.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. Again, love Graham McNeill. All the writing's fabulous. So, can't complain. Which leads us on to the next story.
Yeah, Liar's Due by James Swallow.
Yes, who I did manage to snag for an interview. So look out for that on my channel.
A book with no Space Marines in it.
Yes.
Yeah. Which
Absolutely.
I always enjoy.
Completely bonkers. So my one-line summary for this is backwater blues and betrayals. And this is all set on a planet far, far out from anywhere. Like, a planet that should never be bothered, really. It's just fields. It's just farming. And beautiful setting. And it's interesting that you said it was a Western adventure.
Yeah.
Because when I spoke to James, he was saying it was very influenced by a Clint Eastwood film. So, amazing that you picked up on that. So the summary is a teenage boy, Leon, it's not going to turn out well for Leon, witnesses the flames of war spread through his backwater agri-world, which is named for a farming planet, agri-world, with an astropathic message, claims the Emperor is dead and Horus has been victorious. So this is, again, seeing normal people going, what's happening to our universe? Which I thought was amazing. But is the message true?
Yeah, there's a guy called Mendax in the village who's been like doing a survey or something.
Yes.
And then it turns out he's basically been sowing misinformation. He's an Alpha Legion agent.
And the clue in the name is Mendax. You and I both know mendacity, Latin for trickery, and we're looking out for everything now, aren't we? So it turns out at the end of the book that Mendax is Alpharius. I don't mean that. I mean he's Alpha Legion.
He's an Alpha Legion agent. Like in Legion, you had like people like Bronzy and Sonic are all being recruited by the Alpha Legion to like do, and the idea is that like, the Alpha Legion have sent out all these people to just use really simple techniques to make entire planets turn to War Master without really ever any warships needing to turn up.
Yeah.
So the plan in there is Mendax has been walking around the population, just sort of stoking the fire of thing. He's using this big like orbital elevator, a skyhook thing. And then causing small asteroids to fall to the planet, which makes makes the populace think that drop pods are landing.
Yeah,
and sending out like fake news and fake messages from the Vox system, all basically trying to scare the population into thinking that they're about to be invaded.
And on a lower level than that even, this is how duplicitous he is, learning from Leon, who gets on in the town, who doesn't, and seeing town folk disagreeing,
and
like bellowing the flames to make them fight each other. And so, neighbour is fighting neighbour, all down to this one bloody Alpha Legion agent. So basically at the end of the story, Leon has kind of looked to Mendax as a father figure because, and this is a really cute little detail, in Leon's bedroom, he's got like little Space Marine minis and things. And there's a book.
He's a nerd.
Yeah, he's got a book that you can actually buy in the Warhammer universe. I should have written the name down. This is why Ian should do these. Here we go. Insignium Astartes.
Oh, yeah, that's a book you can buy. Yeah.
He's got his own copy of it.
He's got his copy of Insignium Astartes.
He's dreaming of like a life beyond the stars. This agent comes into his town and is like really kind to him. And then he realises, his actual dad is a bit not very nice to him since his mum passed. So at the end of the book, Leon runs and realises, oh my gosh, my town is destroying each other. All the villagers are in flames. Where are you going? And he follows Mendax to see him go up in the skylift, murder the astropath, and just confess all and say, I'm so sorry. This is what I do. I'm Alpha Legion. I'm spreading the word. And then you hear him. And I don't know if he was actually talking to Horus. Probably not, but he was like, yep, I've done another planet. I'm on to the next one. And it was just extremely heartbreaking.
Yeah. It's a really nice little story that shows like, what's actually happening across the galaxy on normal planet, how simple it is to like, also, of course, it is slightly dark. It's an idyllic planet, but isn't everyone dying of like the black lung rot or something? Like they constantly have that because, it's a giant monocrop full of wheat dust, grain dust. Everyone dies regularly of like lung rot or something like that.
I think that's how the mum died, right? Yeah.
So it's like a normal thing.
Yeah.
In this environment. Yeah.
I mean, no one is out with butterfly nets and like having picnics on the veranda. No. It's not like that at all. But it is, I've asked quite often, I say to Ian, I wonder what it'd be like. Where would I live if I had to live in this universe? And then I was like, oh, yay, we get to find out. And I'm like, oh, no.
Don't want to die of lung rot.
But it is really lovely to see, a day in the life, learn how other people live. There was a bunch of influences from James Swallow, including Cold War espionage, those radio episodes where they'd have War of the Worlds and people would go, oh my God,
it's very much like that, isn't it?
A Twilight Zone episode called The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street.
Is this all Christian's list of things he was trying to...
This is James' list of things that influenced him. Clint Eastwood's High Plains Drifter.
Yeah.
And I was pointing out, there's a lot of Jean Le Carré, completely undercover. And then there's, for the old grognards who watch this channel, Wasp by Eric Frank Russell, where they just send this one human in to completely throw off a whole planet. So, one of the things I'll say about James Swallow is the man can write a spy story. It's in his blood. He's fantastic. So I was going to ask you, you're pretty entrenched. This is not why you got into Warhammer. So when you get to read these slice of life...
No, this is what I prefer. I prefer the eyes and horns and things. That's why we started with those, where it's just like basically like a thriller or a detective. I prefer that to 20 giant Astartes punching each other for 300 pages. The intriguing mystery ones are the better ones.
Yeah. And this doesn't move the plot along, but what you do get is a flavour of how it's so much more terrifying than, Legion against Legion, because if the planets can be turned over this quickly... Well,
it's like, remember Ayesta Veracrux, Wine Planet?
Yes.
Yeah. I like all those where you actually see what the rest of the galaxy's doing right now.
Yeah. And were you surprised by the Alpha Legion twist?
No, I thought it was going to be something like that. yeah. But also I can't remember because the first time I read it was in 2011.
Yes.
So yeah, who knows? But I really, I don't know. This might be one of my favourites in the book.
Oh, I love that.
liked this one.
And I was also going to ask you, we know that Alpha Legion are the skullduggery ones.
Yeah.
They're always up to nonsense. But it seems a little bit dishonourable, the way that it's someone who lies all the time and then goes, ha ha. Doesn't seem like a Space Marine trait. Is this what Alpha Legion are known for? Are they like the liars?
Yeah. They're like they're like counterintelligence Space Marines. They're like covert ops sneaking around. They've always got some people like spare pretending to be painted the wrong colour, pretended to be so there's a load of things like that. That's generally, and then the running joke is that they end up with so many plans that none of them can keep track of how many plans they've got. So
I look forward to that book.
We do get the Alpha Legion. You get more Alpha Legion stories as you go through, and it gets more and more confusing to the point where no one knows what's happening anymore. Even Alpha Legion fans have no idea what actually happened by the end of the Heresy.
I mean, that's me after book 3 in the Heresy. So I really enjoyed that one. It was a nice, quiet planet until it was in flames.
Mm-hmm. We then move on to Forgotten Sons by Nick Kime with the best one-line summary.
Yes. Do you want to read it?
A remembrancer, an ultramarine and a salamander go to a bar. Yeah.
Which is really good. I didn't write that. My friend Historita Jamalda suggested that. Good. I wrote, or Space Marines suffering from trauma and grief after Isfan 3 suffer further after horrid Horus orders his slimy ambassador and a shape-changing Xenos to destroy another planet. So this upset me quite a bit. Yeah. This made me cry.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
There's a really beautiful bit in this.
So basically, the plot is the loyalists and traitors are trying to persuade a planet which way to go. Yeah,
there's it's like a planet that's going to have like a lot hinging around it. Yeah. I think it's like a munitions planet.
Yeah, Bastion it's called. Yeah,
and there's no point trying to explode it. We need it. Yeah. So we got to sway it. That's the premise. So we basically got Hecatan of the Salamanders and Arcades of the Ultramarines. Arcades?
Yeah, probably.
Is that like a special name or anything?
No, that's just his name.
Okay. Yeah. Because someone wanted me to get you to say it, and I go, these nuts.
Oh, right.
That's terrible.
Is that because there's is it someone who's like Arcades?
I think it's just them wanting to make a rude joke.
Right, okay.
So basically they arrive on the planet which has remained neutral.
Yeah.
And they're going to act as the Imperium's ambassadors. Guess what? Someone shoots them down.
Yeah. They're also, why would you send two Space Marines to do this? Why? They're terrible at this job.
But not only that, ambassadors, we've never seen that working out. Their dropship is shot down, and they with a remembrancer called Persifia are the only survivors. Now, when I read these books, I'm like, any remembrancer, I'm like, R.I.P.
Yeah. And she's now like the dresser.
Yeah.
Yeah, she like dresses them
because it's after like they're like no longer allowed to remembrance anything. So she's also, sometimes when they bring in a character like that, I'm like, okay, this is the character they're going to sacrifice. Mm-hmm. So we all know how bad it is. So they surrender their weapons and they get into a let's all have a heated debate. And that's a really big part of the story where they're trying to, Horus's ambassador, Vorkellen, is trying to say, no, you need to come with a War Master. And then the others are like, no, stay loyal. In the meantime, Arcades says, can you go and get our weapons in case things go wrong? Yeah. Like, duh. She wanders off exploring.
Yeah.
I mean, don't do that if you're in this universe. She gets killed.
Yeah.
By, we don't know who the baddie is at the time. And then Hecatan's like, where's that remembrancer? She seemed pretty fragile with no armour and just being a feeble human. And goes to check on her, finds out she's been deaded by an Iron Warrior.
Yeah.
And though he's like, all right, we'll kill you now. And then the fight is on. At the same time, Arcades loses his temper in the debate because let's face it, he's a Space Marine. And the other one's like...
Even if he's an Ultramarine.
Yeah. You're a stupid Space Marine. And they're like, oh, I'm angry now.
And the other one's like, yeah, don't send Space Marines. They're terrible at this.
Yeah, they are.
Present a Space Marine to scare you. Yeah.
There's a lot of that in this, which I love. So at the last minute, they realise there's something else going on. There's a shapeshifter in the mix. So the shape mix, it's a lacrimal shapeshifter. Have you heard of that before?
No idea, yeah.
Okay, so that's probably made
Some
up.
alien, yeah.
Yeah. But what we have found in this universe is shapeshifters seem to be quite powerful, quite deadly. So the shapeshifter's in the mix, and he was going to basically make Bastian think the Imperium were up to all sorts of badness, again, infiltrating and, implicating them as being baddies. But guess what? The Iron Warrior was priming some nuclear weapons, in a big basement for just any planet has a big basement of either siege guns,
big weapon.
A former warp.
It's another big weapon planet.
Yeah. One of those. So basically, things start exploding, and you're hoping, oh my goodness, I hope Hecatan and Arcades can survive, and one of them doesn't.
Right.
And I'm going to spoil the whole thing. Hecatan sacrifices himself to save the enemy ambassador because they realise they've been played by this shapeshifter as well. And
Arcades gets away.
Arcades gets away, but there's a really lovely, horrible, beautiful bit where right at the end, the salamander's taken a proper beating and he can't hold on to be saved.
Yeah.
And they're really sad because of, Istvan and losing everybody. And they go, what are you doing? He goes, I'm going to join my brother. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is my first Nick Kime read, I think.
Interesting.
And Christian Dunn, the editor, mentioned he was the first choice to write about salamanders because he'd written about them before. And he was also present in the original Horus Heresy meetings.
Because he was an editor.
Because it's the same as you. I said to Ian, could anyone ever help with your edits? And Ian was like, no, because people need to know as much as I know. If you were getting people into the heresy at this stage, you needed them to have been in those meetings. So, So questions for Ian. Someone wrote, what's the name of the Ultramarine in this one?
Yeah.
You go, Arcades, and I go, D's nuts. So,
don't get it.
No,
Just not,
that's good because you're my pure little friend.
I've heard people say that in America. But it's not really a thing anyone says here.
We can ask your girlfriend and she can tell us.
Do it. Yeah, she'll do it. So Nick Kime does write about. Nick Kime is about from this point onwards.
Yeah.
About 73% of all the Horus Heresy is just Nick Kime books about the salamanders.
No, it's not.
There's so many. I
many?
Genuinely think there's at least 4.
No, you're lying.
No, there is at least 4 salamanders books coming up.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
And there needed to be 1.
Well, thing is, salamanders. I love how we're both doing this now. Salamanders they get mostly mushed out.
Yeah, which is amazing. There's so many books about them.
Interesting. So is this to do with the Secundus, or do they re-emerge?
Not really. I think Nick Kime he wrote the Salamanders books in 40k. So then he starts writing the Salamanders books in 30k.
Yeah.
And, he's the editor at the Black Library at the time. So maybe he's just getting a lot of books. I'm not sure. But there's a lot of Salamanders. There's so many Salamanders books.
Well, I mean, we're on book like 16 or 17 now. So to this point, this is the first mention of salamanders, really. Yeah. So he's just making up for it.
Yeah, we don't even get to the first one till like book 20. And he's got like 5 before book 50.
Well,
so
I think that sounds balanced. So yeah, I mean, what did you...
Aren't even any salamanders left.
What did you think of this story? We've got Ultramarines and salamanders, not a pairing I would think would be very obvious.
No, it's interesting that... I like the idea, right? I like the setup of we're going to have a debate.
Yeah.
And then it turns into another action adventure. And you're like, okay, fine. Well, it would have been more interesting maybe if it was a big old debate. But then you could have done like I do like the fact that the Ultramarine is getting too angry.
Yes.
Is like the opposite thing you expect of an Ultramarine.
Well, I think, Ultramarines are so pious and we are the best. When someone goes, no, you're not, haha, that really must drive them, when I'm an Ultramarine. So I enjoyed those dynamics. So yeah, a nice one, but again, made me cry at the end.
Yes.
So on to the next.
Yeah.
If it appears we're rushing, we are, because there's a lot to get through.
There's a lot of stories in this. Okay. The Last Remembrancer by John French.
And the tagline for this one, sweet memories.
Oh.
This is horrible. This is really, this is on my bastard scale of stories. So Rogel Dawn.
Yep. Happy Rogel Dawn. Jolly Rogel.
Rogel Dawn is on the bastard scale, 100% after this. Rogel Dawn and Cruz. Why does he spell it with a Q? Stupid. Interview the last Remembrancer. So this made me a bit sad because it's like, I've loved the Remembrancers, but it's in a way, this book's saying, that's it now.
Yeah.
Solomon Voss, and he was actually an instigator of the founding of Remembrancers. And he went to look for Horus after the heresy.
Yes, the heresy came out and he was like, I've got to go and remembrance this.
Yeah.
Let's go and meet Horus and interview him about why he's been Horus.
Solomon.
Oh, Solomon Voss.
Anyway, so Horus was like, brilliant. Come here, let me fill your head with this, and now go back to Sol
And tell him.
and tell them.
Yeah.
And they need to be scared. And he does that. He comes back to Sol and now dwells in a prison on Saturn's moon.
Yeah.
Because obviously, and remembrances are no more. He can't be trusted. He's gone to prison. So he basically relates this story of, I mean, I think it's hubris on the part of the remembrancer and believing in the wrong people and things. Manages to get everyone killed,
Yeah.
including his partner. And Horus has actually used him as a tool
Yeah.
to come back and basically to put fear, despondency, break Rogel Dawn's resolve, actually, and weaken him for the fight coming ahead.
Because they're like old mates.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rogel Dawn and Solomon Voss knew each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, Voss and Dawn used to have this, you know, respectful, you know, yeah, as you say, friendly relationship. But now Dawn can barely bear to talk to him. And Dawn is furious throughout and decides if this man ever speaks or his last words are ever read, because his last words are like, we're all going to die.
Yeah.
Horus is going to get us. Again, like with the story, what's the last book we just read? The Death.
Outcast Dead, which
The
we haven't read
Outcast.
yet because it's after this.
Oh yeah, which we're going to read. I've heard there's a story in there which someone has a revelation too big. If it got out, it would, all the whole population, everyone would give up hope
Yeah.
and surrender. So for the same reason, Dawn is like, I'm sorry, no one can ever hear what you're going to say. I have to kill you.
Yeah, and then he does.
And then he does.
He was the last remembrancer.
He was.
Especially after that one in the previous previous story got smushed.
You sound really happy
He
about
was
that.
definitely the last remembrancer.
Are you done with remembrance?
I know I like remembrancing.
Yeah.
But I do think, you know what, I really like remembrancing at the start, and now I think there's more interesting humans.
Yes.
Yeah, like when we had Jimmy Remembrancer who becomes a wolf guy.
Yes. Yeah.
He's actually not a remembrancer, he's like a different conservator.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is interesting. We've got more than just
Yeah.
remembrancers.
And I guess we're part of the main plots now. So we don't, we've got a front row seat.
Don't need to remembrance it.
We don't need to, but we're remembrancers in a way.
We are. We are.
So Dunn said one of the things Age of Darkness was strategically set up to do was to position the characters so they would be ready and in place for upcoming things as the heresy unfolded.
But what does this add to that? Like, we know Dawn's in terror and we know Horus is not. Saturn's got a prison on it.
I didn't know that. Is prison going to come up later?
Titan, it's actually, the moon is Titan, and that does become relevant.
There you go.
Yeah, so.
So perhaps these are things that they will shadow back to, or this is why Dawn is feeling this militant about remembrancing or da-da-da-da-da. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Right. Rebirth.
John French, I haven't spoken to yet, but I believe I'm going to talk to John French about an ADB book.
Oh.
Because Aaron can't come and talk to me.
No, because he's a Games Workshop employee.
Yeah, he is, you know, he can't talk to echelons outside his echelon. So John French is going to talk to me about one of his books, which will be very interesting.
So you're going to do like a translated ADB video?
Yeah. Well, John French might go, I hate this book.
It's rubbish, isn't it?
I don't understand why Aaron did this, but John French also writes in the Heresy coming up, doesn't he?
He does. He's in a couple of books' time.
Yay. So
John French similar. No, he does. He does. Yes, that's right. He does.
Okay.
I'm getting confused with James Swallow, who also is about to write some more heresy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, it's interesting because I've fallen in love with so many of the authors already. I'm kind of like, how can these next authors, you know, how do they all link it together? And yeah, it's lovely reading this book and see how it all fits together. And the next is one other of our favourite authors.
Rebirth by Chris Wright, who is one of our favourite authors. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my one-line summary for this was, I've got 999 brothers and I'm the last one.
Yeah. Accurate. Hey.
So I'm really raw to be reading about Thousand Suns because...
We just did it.
Yeah, and also we've seen Magnus in his pants, the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
I don't care, everyone's being killed. Dad, please come and save us. Anyway, so this is awful. This is really
It's
awful.
really bad,
Horrible.
this one. So it's told from the perspective of you're being tortured. So yeah.
There's two things. One is the Thousand Sons have gone back to their planet.
Well, like the one group that were away, or one of the groups that were away.
Yeah. Like this baby, like
yeah.
Starbug has returned and Red Dwarf has exploded and the whole world is shattered in glass. Meanwhile, Caliston is being captured and tortured by relentless Astartes. And so half of the book is just him being beaten up and experiencing the punching.
Yeah.
So from the tortured person's viewpoint, so the summary goes, some Thousand Sons who were away from Prospero returned to their homeland to find it burned. They're clueless about the heresy and the wolves destroying Tizca. The captain Caliston is captured and questioned by an unknown Astartes, not unknown for long, who has anger issues. Massive hint. The other Thousand Sons are beaten to death and mutilated.
Yeah.
Except legionary Revul Arvida, who escapes into the ruins.
Yeah.
There is a lot of torture in this book.
Yeah.
It is Khan. I wrote this bit. It is Khan, who is...
He's doing the torturing. He's very angry.
And he is Angron's captain.
Yeah. And he's sort of looking to find a cure. We assume for the butcher's nails.
This is. I'm going to ask you about this. I think there's a teaser about stuff I don't know about yet. Or during the torture sequence, the guy being tortured is like, I can see there's pain in your head. I can see you're angry and upset. I can take it away. I can cure you with my warp gift.
Yeah. And Khan really doesn't like that.
No, but there's a second where Khan is contemplating it, a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And then he punches the man's face through his head and that's how he dies, I believe. Lovely stuff.
Yep.
So really, I have to say, Chris Wright, the nicest man I've ever interviewed. Absolutely lovely, gorgeous guy, really friendly. Some of the worst torture I've ever read. If you're into that kind of thing, I can recommend this short story.
Well, yeah, because Chris Wright was also Bloodlines, right? With the sucking people dry and all that.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a billion times worse than that. But also there's an implication that at some point in the future, Khan's going to make a choice or have a decision that will affect the heresy. And I'm sure all of them have that. But there's an implication that this could have been pushed away.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
It's a bit weird. Yeah, well, yeah. But it's what everyone would have known because Khan's a major character in 40k, right?
Okay, you're saving me.
So Khan is a colossal character in 40k.
Okay.
Already from like decades before this was written. So everyone's expecting that to happen. But what's interesting is it does seem a bit weird that he's just gone for a little bit of a jolly to Prospero. It's a bit weird that this plot's kind of about Khan, because if it's mostly about Arvida, and Arvida carries on being a character.
Does he?
If it's mostly about the Arvidan, the Thousand Sons coming down and finding out what the fuck happened here, then why wouldn't you make the angry people Space Wolves?
I don't know, but I mean, I wondered if that's what Christian meant about trying to put people on the right planets. Or
I don't think there's any reason for Khan to be there. I can't remember if there's any reason other than this little short story for Khan to go to Prospero. It feels like a really weird route for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like if you want to do the story which is about the Thousand Sons discovering it and getting beaten up, they would be Space Wolves.
Yeah.
Same plot, it's just Space Wolves.
Maybe everyone's had enough of Space Wolves and punching Thousand Sons.
A lot of people do end up on Prospero at various points of the rest of the heresy. It seems like quite a popular tourist destination mid-war.
Flipping X, sorry, nearly did a swear. Alfred Hitchcock had a name for stuff where you're sent off.
A MacGuffin.
The MacGuffin in this, they believe that there's an artifact or a trinket on the planet.
Oh, do they? Right, okay. So they're coming to get the MacGuffin.
They're discussed. Oh, do they?
No, well, yeah, like another siege gun in the basement.
But this is an amulet which I think Khan thinks could help. I just want to demonstrate really quickly. Chris Wright, one of my favourite Warhammer authors. They all are. James is my favourite. Dan's my favourite. The air of Prospero sighed into the load bay, used to describe a spaceship door opening. Beautiful.
That's how it sounds on Prospero when you open a door.
That's my favourite moment we've ever shared on this channel. Then there's another one, of melancholy. Everything was glass once. The pyramids, the libraries, the galleries. Now it is our dust. Weighty double meaning in the middle of it.
Dust, eh? Dust. Thousand Suns and Dust, eh?
Something we will not have time for a discussion now, but you and I could have like a 3-hour long video about this. Prospero was a world soaked in the psychic possibility of the great ocean. We were all touched by it for better or worse. They had no choice. Do you see what I'm saying? They're like,
Yeah.
you know, that was going to happen. In regards to why Khan came to this planet, he goes, you came here because you knew what devices once existed on Prospero you hoped to find a cure. So that's why Khan's come here. So I feel like this is a story that's saying this could have been okay, you know, had Khan found that device or let himself be cured. And then as the guy's dying, I won't read you any of the torture stuff because it's horrible, but here's a lovely bit for you. The world tilts, rocking on an axis of nausea. I only dimly feel the second blow cracking into my ribs. My body becomes a chorus of pain, resounding in discordant polyphony. Through blood-swelled eyes, I see the fist coming that will finish me. It is fitting to witness the cause of my own death. As a loyal son of the Imperium, I never wished for more than that. Okay.
There we are then.
So should we go?
You know, jolly. Right. Then we move on. So that's that one. I quite like that one as well.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird, but I quite like it. It's got some good moments in it. I like it more than this one. This is probably my least favourite in the book.
I found this very confusing.
This new one, yeah.
This is The Face of Treachery by Gav Thorpe.
And it sort of sets up, stroke leans into a bit of the next book. So it's like a setup for the next book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next book is Deliverance Lost.
Yeah.
And this is set after a short story we haven't read called Raven's Flight.
Which is also one of those EPUBs that was floating around. It's weird. There would later be a book called Corax, which is one of the main books we'll read at some point.
Yay.
Which is all the Corax mini stories.
Oh, okay.
But Raven's Flight hasn't been featured in any of the main books up to this point. It'll come later, but after this and after Deliverance Lost. It's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, for some reason they put this one in this book, but not Raven's Flight.
So I haven't come across any Corax yet, so I was very excited. But I feel like the story supposes you know a lot around them already. So I was a bit like, but I'm still waiting to learn about Corax properly. This one line summary is
Borax.
Borax. That's so mean. The Raven Guard are vampires.
No, they're emos.
Emos.
Yeah,
Oh,
Raven
God.
Guard
Ian.
emos, yeah.
The Power of Dreams and Alpha Legion Sneakiness, I called this. So basically, I thought this was quite touching. The Raven Guard are worried about their Primarch.
Yes, they've been ordered. It's the Raven Guard who've been ordered to stay at Deliverance, their planet. House.
Yeah.
Stay at home.
Stay at home. Don't come and save us from Isfahan 3.
We're just going to a little Isfahan 3. We'll be back by lunchtime. Yeah.
Now, when you and I read the Isfahan book, it was basically zombified and mulched Space Marines quite quickly.
That's Isfahan 3. It's Isfahan 5.
Sorry, Isfahan 5.
Yeah.
So, oh gosh.
Yeah, it's the big fight where everyone gets murdered in Lorgar's book.
Yeah. So these ones are told, you know, don't come and look for us, but they want their Primarch back.
Yeah.
So they're going to go and get them.
And Valerius is having like a weird premonition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Valerius. So there's a guy called Valerius.
Yeah.
Who's the Imperial Guard commander, and he's having a weird premonition.
Yeah, which is, you know, quite normal for where we're at now in the
it's a pretty normal thing to happen. Yeah.
So he manages to pick up Corax and a few remaining Raven Guards.
He gets Bran. Bran's been left at home, so he persuades Bran that Bran should go as well.
Yeah. But basically, what is quite interesting about this is you think that all hope is lost because Angron's basically there. But what happens is they manage to make an escape and get away because the Alpha Legion
fuck up the world. Yes, they get there in the ships. The World Eaters come out to like chase them off.
Yeah,
and the Alpha Legion guy who's posing as a World Eater is like, no, we're not gonna...
Yeah, I'm Alpha Legion, and we're going to save you. And this is why it has been. This blew my mind. This is now fighting brother, Legion against Legion. It has been decided that Corax has still a part to play, said the Alpha Legionnaire, who's revealed to be one. It has been decided for the moment he will be allowed to live. Decided by you, Delarax's question was harsh with scorn. Who are you to make such a decision? I am Alfarius, said the Legionnaire.
Yeah, so and we don't know who's agreed with this. There's like we assume that the Alpha Legion are now doing their own weird things.
Yeah.
And they've decided Korax is going to be let go back to wherever he's come from.
Yeah.
That does develop into a thing. That's the plot of Deliverance Lost. There's a whole thing in Deliverance Lost that this is setting up.
This is great. I mean,
but it is very confusing if you don't know that.
Well, also, I don't know if where I heard this from, probably Jim. There is some weird thing. Are the Alpha Legion doing random stuff now because of their meeting with the Cabal in Legion?
So we don't know.
So whose side are they on?
Are they on Horus's side but trying to make sure that something survives afterwards, or they're trying to not fuck it up too much, or let Horus win but only a little bit? Like, what are the... no one knows what the Alpha Legion are doing. Yeah.
Okay, because there's a brilliant thing at the end here. The last paragraph, so Cordassis goes, why? And the Alpha Legionnaire loomed into view, stooping over Delarex. His melt-edged voice seemed distant as Delarex drew a last rattling breath. In times like these, even the most trusted face can conceal an enemy.
Yeah. Alpha Legions everywhere. They apparently like Korax, but hate wheat planets.
But this book really is called The Age of Darkness because you're seeing all the dread and everything's being set up to become incredibly difficult and dark.
Yeah.
And it really carries a mood of its own, which is kind of very melancholy, depressive, hopelessness.
No one knows what's going on. It's all a big confusing battle. Yeah. There's a lot. We're like 2/3 of the way through.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've got...
There's a lot of short stories in this book.
3 more to go.
Okay.
Little Horus by my favourite and yours, Dan Abnett. My one-line summary for this is the Mournival mourn it all.
Yeah, or what's left of them.
Little Horus, who remains from the Mournival, has his face sliced off.
Yes.
Little Horus Axamund. Oh, it's so nice to read his name again.
Yay.
Hunts Shadrach Medusan, an Iron Hands captain who's been fighting a successful war, but first he and Abaddon...
Yeah, who are the last 2 people in the Mournival. Yeah.
Must fill the 2 empty positions on the Mournival. So we're back with our friends again. And they choose 2 people, Falcus Kibber and Grail Noctua, despite the latter's lower rank.
And there's a conversation of Horus has to persuade Abaddon that they still want one. Because little Horus is missing the fact that there's not a Mournival anymore.
Yes.
He's missing the being part of a little gang of 4 people who help.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, we should do it. We should form another one. And Abaddon's like, oh God, do we really need to? There's none of that anymore. And so Horus suggests people and get them to join. And he's a bit worried because Kyber is Abaddon's mate. And he's a bit too much like Abaddon. But Grail Noctua is just a regular sergeant. So
And there's a very, very interesting bit where Horus says to little Horus, you're picking people, you know why you're picking them, don't you? It's because they make you feel happy. They make you feel good about yourself. So this whole thing about little Horus is the one who looks the most like Horus.
Yeah.
And then when he's picking or deciding who he's going to be loyal to, it's all about that.
Yeah.
And the ego. So lots of layers going on because it's a Dan book, obviously.
There's lots of fun little mentions about how he smiled, but his smile never really worked anymore. But he didn't look like himself anymore. Yeah.
I did pull up Dan and say, what is it with you and taking people's smiles away?
Yeah.
So, Axamund keeps hearing breathing and basically is having, again, visions or waking dreams. He's haunted and he's having dreams. And apparently this isn't normal for an Astartes.
Yeah.
But a lot of them
have
do.
nice dreams.
Yeah. So he attacks Dwell, which is a beautiful, massive invasion, written in beautiful, literal ankle deep pool of blood, horrible confrontations and loads of nastiness going on. Once he gets into the target building, because of course there's a MacGuffin, they have to get into this building. And he's met by an Iron Hands officer, but not the one he was expecting.
No, not Medusan. It's another guy. I can't remember who.
When he's thinking, oh, everything's over, there's a bunch of white statues.
Yeah.
So imagine going down...
Covered in dust. Yeah.
Sheets.
Yeah.
Imagine going down Oxford Street, a little living statue with 5 white
It's
scars.
a bloody white scar, yeah.
It's a bloody white scar.
Led by Hebu Khan.
Hebu Khan.
Who I have somewhere in a box.
Do you?
Yeah, I've got a Hebu Khan.
Oh, we should have got Hebu Khan out.
I forgot he was in this.
Is Hebu Khan a captain?
He's like a Khan. It's his rank.
Why did they name them this? Oh.
His rank is Khan.
Oh,
yeah.
This is confusing.
Yeah, because they've white scars.
Oh. So Khan is the one who ends up slicing his face off. And little Horus manages to escape and get his face reattached.
Yes, that's right. Yes, he gets his face. Yes, that's right. He gets it sliced off in this.
He gets a proper slicing.
Yeah, even though it's mentioned again and again from the start because he's remembering. He's like, oh yeah, when he really never really looked like himself anymore.
There's an amazing, this is how it happens. The third blow caught little Horus vertically at the cheek in a line that began just over the right eyepiece where his Mournival mark was displayed. The bonded ceramite of his helm didn't even seem to stop the Medusan weapon, because iron hands, good weapons. Yeah. Axeman fell. There was a great deal of blood suddenly, and he couldn't properly account for its source. He saw something on the etched steel floor in front of him. It was the visor and snout section of his own helmet, the entire faceplate. It had been sheared off, peeled cleanly away as though shaved by an industrial slicer, and it was not empty. Oh my God.
Noses and shit in it.
I was like, so he then realises the person in the dreams was Loken.
Yeah. He's running away from his memories of being a twat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, he understands it's Loken. And it's not like Loken saying, I forgive you. But once he realises who's coming after him, he's like, oh, it's okay, he's dead, and relaxes.
Yeah.
So this was a really beautiful little filling in. I was very happy to be back with the Mournival. Dan's writing in this is very poetic. We talked about it being quite haiku-like, a bit of a samurai thing in it. We learned that little Horus's sword is called Mourn It All, which I thought was quite cute wordplay, and it's absolutely beautiful. There's some really disgusting descriptions of fountains of blood, but I loved it. And I think really, really beautiful. Might be one of my favourite stories. Something exciting that comes up in this, transhuman dread.
Yes.
Which is the state of being when you're a little mortal looking at a space marine, and it's a physiological reaction where you're so scared you can't do it. And it's like a special effect, I guess, if you're playing like a D&D or something.
Yeah. I think they have rules for it in the game. They at various points they've had rules for it in the game. But yeah, the idea that like Space Marines shouldn't be able, nothing that big should be able to move that fast. Yeah, is a common thing. It's
so good, and I think this is one of the first and one of the best examples of it being written about in the lore. So I was excited to learn about that. I didn't know Ferrus Manus was referred to as the Gorgon.
Yeah.
And that explains why they are Medusan, Medusa sons.
Yeah, because they're from Medusa is his planet.
Yeah.
Oh, so the Iron Hand planet is called Medusa.
What?
And he's the Gorgon.
Did Ferrus Manus have like snakes coming out of his head?
And he's got metal arms, which is what a different Gorgon. Like, so Medusa is one of the Gorgons, but there were 3 Gorgons, and one of them, Stellanus, has bronze arms.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so there we go.
I love this channel.
You got that's how. Yeah. That's the reference. Like a different Gorgon of the 3 Gorgons. Medusa's sister had bronze arms. Yeah,
I mean, I am. What I really love about not spoiling myself is I learn what each legion is based on. So that makes me really happy. And it's good to see Iron Hands getting some action despite
being dead.
Yeah, father's dead.
So that's Little Horus.
Yeah,
your favourite.
I think my favourite, and that was an ebook as well that came into print. And Astartes Don't Dream.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I don't think anyone's mentioned that before. No dreams for Astartes.
No.
Brains too smushed up with hypnosis.
Yes, you've been a very naughty boy. So, what did you think of that one?
I liked it. It feels like a short story.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a very contained story from the very start. It's about one event that happens. Horus getting his face sliced off, which is important because he's the one who's meant to look like Horus.
Yeah.
So and then he doesn't anymore. And his own thoughts about not being the person he used to be. Yeah. And there's a lot of like, I quite liked it when we weren't the bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I felt good about that because I hated them so much for like, poor Loken. So it was nice. It's not really redemption, but it's kind of a beautiful, pause in my feelings around that. So yay. Okay.
The Iron Within.
By Rob Sanders.
I like this one. It's very, very popular, this short story.
So my one-line summary, you can tell I'm like, they're getting worse as we go. Barabbas, more like Barabadass. I quite enjoyed this. I was really shocked.
Yeah, it's a really interesting setup.
It's so good.
They're in like an upside down thing on an
inverted fortress in the mountain upside down on a backwater planet.
Yep, they're in, where are they? The Shardenhold.
Yes.
Which is like quite funny. They're on the Shardenhold, which weirdly gets taken and doesn't matter. So it's got like, it induces Schadenfreude.
Oh,
the Shardenhold.
It's a good name and it's a good story. Like, it's a fairly uncontroversial stronghold.
Yeah.
But there's a force in it and they are trying to keep Horus's troops at bay as long as they can to help. So then if they're here bashing us, they won't be in the main war effort.
Yeah.
And essentially, it's a siege in reverse. You're the ones being besieged. So normally, you're like trying to bash, into an army gate. In this, you learn how they escape and keep it held together.
It's called the Schadenfreude. It's in a big cavern on a backwater planet, and it hangs from the roof of the cavern, and underneath it is like a lake of oil.
Yes.
And they're holding this fortress. They're holding it's Barabast Antioch.
Yeah.
Who is an Iron Warrior who's been prematurely aged, as well as his mate, the Dreadnought, been prematurely aged by some alien weapon, a Hrud weapon.
Yeah. What's a Hrud?
Hrud are like, we don't know, they're never detailed, but they're always in 40k. They're always mentioned, and they fuck with time. Okay. They're a species of aliens that fuck with time.
Oh, that's handy, isn't it?
So they've been attacked by a Hrud weapon ages ago, which means they're now prematurely aged.
Okay.
And they are loyalist Iron Warriors.
Yes, which is mental.
So they're Iron Warriors who stayed loyal.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So apparently if we read Perturubo's Primarch prequel novella, there's more about him in that. He's not healthy. And it's like a fantastic landscape. As you said, it's hanging above this, oil thing. There's deadly acid storms on the planet going on. The caverns are deep. You could just imagine, like, you could have the best D&D quest in there ever. So basically, a traitor warsmith called Krendel, because there's always bloody traitors.
Yeah.
Basically tries to say to Dantiok, times are changing. Horus is going to win. Switch over. But Dantiok is loyal, a badass, and a roast god. You command simply because you lack the courage to be loyal, says Krendel. Run, you cur, and take your heretic dog with you.
Yeah. Vastapol is the Dreadnought.
A surprise Dreadnought!
A surprise Dreadnought. Vastapol is Dreadnought.
So basically, he is like a poet Dreadnought.
Yes.
He's sensitive, and they saved him.
He's that's true. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And if I die, I'll be your Dreadnought friend. I'll come and hang around. And
Mira the poet Dreadnought.
and
Mirastapol.
So basically, really bad, don't get attached to any character with any creative ability. Where basically it comes down to it, where they're going to have to hold the whole fortress against troop after troop after troop, big weapons. And all they do is they run further up. It's like Home Alone. It's amazing.
Barbarous Antioch Home Alones the rest of the Iron Warriors for a year and a day.
Sorry, I keep swearing. It's so epic. It's so fun. And you're like, how are they going to get out of this? And it's like, don't worry, we've got a secret tunnel. Don't worry. Booby trap. It's so good. You're just romping through it. You're romping through it. And basically, right at the end, you think they're all going to die. What's going to happen? Because the Dreadnought is basically saving everyone. He blocks himself in a hole so they can run away. I don't know if I can finish this. They all run away. And then they're slowly, like, the Dreadnought gets killed, and they're like, we're not leaving till we get him out. Yeah. They cut him out of the Dreadnought.
His gloopy bit of body left.
He's got no little...
And it turns out he's got no legs. And it turns out that a year ago, when they were having a chat in the traitor dropship, they hit a teleport home run in it. And he's like, the thing is, I've just been fucking with you for a year. I actually hit a teleport home run your dropship. And while you're all down here attacking me for the final battle, I'm going to teleport into your dropship, be on your ship, and steal it.
And then, throw my lighter into the lake of oil.
And blow the entire planet up.
And it's like, oh my gosh. So, like, you're not expecting any of this. The whole way through, you think, oh, they're going to die. It's going to be a noble. They died at the last stand. They get away on the space. It's so Doctor Who. I love it. But the thing the Dreadnought, they get him out, and they got his little poor body. They had to leave his case. And then, they say, we're safe. And Vastapol dies, and they say, our honoured brother is taking his leave. Yep. And it's mad. In a short story, you get all the camaraderie, all of that, and it's...
Oh, there's an Ultramarine there. Oh, Nicodemus the Ultramarine, is there. And he's like, why don't you come back with me? You can stay at my house. Fortify the Imperium against Horus. And that does go somewhere. That they're in the heresy. They're people in the heresy.
Well, of course, Guilliman would want Dantiok, because what a master. Yeah. And it really surprised me. We noted at the beginning that it's first person, and then it changes to third person. So we think like Vastapol might have been narrating, which is a really lovely touch. Yeah. And just really feeling, I never thought I would like a siege story, but it's really, really good. So I've already asked you what are the Hrud. What is a tetrarch of the
Tetrarch,
Ultramarines?
right? Yeah. So the Ultramarines back then ruled over this massive empire. So what happens is when Guilliman's so good at organising stuff, he's really far out. The Ultramarines are really far away. They're on the eastern edge of the galaxy.
Yeah.
And when they finally rediscover Guilliman, he's conquered 500 worlds. He's got his own much nicer than the Imperium empire. It's not as big, but everyone's got a much higher standard of life.
He is modelled after Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's built his own empire already when the Imperium find him. Its standard of life is significantly better than the Imperium. And so his legion is huge and extremely well resourced.
Yeah.
And in order to run it, he splits off, he sort of gives his big thing is that we've got to be as good as being administrators as we are at being warriors.
Okay.
So he has 4 tetrarchs who run a quarter of the worlds and are officially in charge of the defense of the quarter of the worlds. And evidently, Nicodemus is one of those tetrarchs.
Gosh, love it.
So yeah, he's in it.
One thing the Imperium needed more of, more admin.
Yeah,
Let's bring it.
Dantioc's quite fun. He's old, so he's got like an iron skull stapled to his head. Like his face is an iron skull. Yeah, which
how
is the whole
He-Man.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, he looks like metal Skeletor. Yeah.
Oh, so we did have a question. From iron cometh strength, from strength cometh will, from will cometh faith, from faith cometh honour, from honour cometh iron.
Yeah.
Discuss. Iron in blood, Nietzsche's will to power. We don't need to discuss this,
Yeah.
but interesting point.
Yeah,
There we
well,
go.
no, I mean, that's part. The thing is that the interesting thing is an awful lot of factions in the Imperium believe stuff like that, including the Iron Hands. That's what Ferrus Manus believes. Like, they're all like, yeah, the only important thing is strength.
Yeah.
The only important thing is strength. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crikey.
From iron cometh strength, from strength cometh will. So it's Danina Delcar. That's how that goes, right?
If you would like us to do a separate video on that, put a question in the comments.
Don't give them ideas for more videos.
We'll give you an hour. Okay, I think this might be the last.
Yeah, and the last one's
the whole
Savage
book.
Weapons, which is
ADB.
It's
One of
it's
my
another
favourite
MacGuffin
authors.
hunt.
Well, also, this really, I mean, again, I'm getting to see, this has got Night Lords in it.
Yeah.
I've never seen Night Lords. Everyone's telling me to avoid.
Well, isn't everyone trying to get you to read the Night Lords trilogy?
In 500 subscribers,
500
I will.
subscribers, and Mira has to read the Night Lords trilogy.
You told me not to.
Yeah, don't do it. But I told you not to read the Heresy, and here we are. So, yeah.
So, one-line summary: demigods with daddy issues.
Yeah.
Also, Night Lords have got like talons.
They're like evil bat people. Yeah.
They are the vampires.
No, they're not vampires. They're like,
They've got like, instead of swords, they go.
yeah, they're like, yeah. They like lightning claws doing Night Lords. Yeah,
So
they're
they're
big fans of
bat
that.
people.
They're scary bat people. Yeah. They're not vampires.
Do they get on with the Raven Guard?
No one gets on with the Night Lords. They're dicks.
Okay.
Yeah, they're complete dicks. The Night Lords are arseholes.
Okay, good to know. Good
Yeah.
to know. So the Dark Angels, remember them?
Yeah,
You know?
annoying people, the Dark Angels.
Legion-
I prefer the Night Lords. But yeah, fine.
Wow, that's
anyway,
a statement. Legion number 1 are fighting the Night Lords in the Thramis sector for 2 years, following Isfahan 5, with the Night Lords using hit and run tactics. Go in, just kill you all, and then we're off.
Yeah.
But Kurz finally calls the Lion to meet on the dead world of I no idea how to pronounce this.
Zagwalsa.
Zagwalsa.
Yeah.
Finally, I
Zagwalsa.
barely knew her.
Yeah.
The story is from the point of view of Corswain, one of the best swordsmen in his legion, and he has recurring dreams about fighting a beast on Caliban.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
know all about that, and it never dies in his dreams. Corswain accompanies Lionel Del Ritchie down
Yeah.
to the planet alongside Alajos, his company captain, and of course one of the best fighters of all the Astartes.
Of course they are. Dark Angels.
So you know already this is building up to a massive fight, essentially, which it does. Cruz arrives soon after with Kurz.
Curse.
Kurz and Cruz. Someone punch me in the
Kurz and Cruz,
face and help me out
different
here. So imagine like a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
You know, one side you've got this lot walking down. Kurz coming with Sevatar, who's Night Lord's first captain, and Sheng. Yes,
We've briefly met Sevatar. He was like at one of the meetings.
was he at the Nikia?
No, it was on Nikia. It was when they go and do Asfam 5 or something.
Okay.
We briefly met Sevatar.
Yeah, and Sheng, his equerry. Kurz asked the Lion, "Why did you stay loyal? Ha ha, you're stupid, and you know, Dad doesn't love you. You've never been to Earth, you know." And the Lion is like trying to be noble, but goes for a walk.
He's the Lion. Yeah.
Goes for a walk with him.
Yeah.
Achilles Night Lord.
Yeah. Let's have a little jaunt around the garden.
So in the old days, I would have been like, oh, this is going to be so nice. They're going to talk like... Not now. Not book 16 or wherever we bloody are. Now I'm like, don't do it. So they have a walk. And in the meantime, which is a really bad idea, the opposite, the people holding the dressing gowns have a chat. Corswain and Alajos talk with Sevatar and Sheng. Sevatar left this is so horrible. So Alajos's face is like hanging off. And Sevatar's like, ha ha, I did that. Oh my God. And then they ask, there's a lot about red painted gauntlets.
Yeah, Sevatar has red painted hands.
Is this a thing in the future?
It's a thing in the Night Lords. Okay. It's a thing from the Night Lords planet. Yeah.
Like, psh, and then run away.
It means like, you're going to get killed. You've been marked for execution. We're not going to kill you right now, but you're ready for execution, mate. But he's also the first captain of Conrad Kurtz. He's the head of the Night Lords.
You're going to die.
Like, you did something wrong. Sevatar doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. So surprisingly, the lion does a stabbing.
Yeah.
A surprise strike, and probably thought, I'd get away with it. But no, Kurtz.
He does that a lot.
Does he?
Yeah, he does that a couple of times in the Heresy. The lion's a bit like, well, I know it's honourable, but you know what would be really useful if I just punch you right now? Yeah.
Oh, I'm beginning to warm to him. No, not really. So basically, it's not a one and done. It never is. And now we have pages and pages of Primarch tussle.
Yeah, there's a load of that.
And funnily enough...
They roll around a lot.
Yeah, they do. Funnily enough, the feelings I get when Primarchs interact are so it's like I'm turned inside out, and I hate it when they fight. Because don't laugh at me. The rest of the stories is then
Wait
fine.
till Siege of Terror is going to be great.
But it's just, it's really hard to what is wrong with me? It's really hard to read. And, we have I noted what happens in detail. Corswain runs to his Primarch's aid while Alajos bravely faces Sheng and Sevatar on his own. He takes off one of the hands, not a red gauntleted hand, Sheng's hand, and then loses his head.
Yeah, because Sevatar chops it off with his chain glaive.
Yeah. And his name's Sevatar. Chain glaive.
Jago Sevatar. Jago Sevatarian. Is his name, yeah.
Corswain sees Alhaj's death before stabbing his sword into Kurz's back and then trying to strangle him with a chain.
Yeah.
So he's strangling him to save his Primarch. Primarch gets up, Corswain gets thrown off, and being thrown off by a Primarch, you fly to another planet, he's all smushed up and like, oh, my leg and my arm aren't working. Then Kurz, he's nearly killed, but then the drop pods arrive in time because both Primarchs still have loads of stories.
Yeah.
And they're both, it's like they get pulled away. Like, no, leave him.
Yeah. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Yeah. Both of them do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Corswain goes back to the ship and, he's like not doing well, but he has the dream again. And this time there's no beast to kill in his dream. Yeah. So interesting.
And then they get a word from Gilliman going, why don't you also come to Ultramar?
So this is a lot of that setting this up. And then Jim has helped me with some questions because obviously I don't know about these characters yet. Sevatar is a popular character, perhaps the most popular traitor Starties. Who is the most popular?
Khan. Yeah.
What do you think of Sevatar? Ian's not that fussed.
He gets some good stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a whole Night Lord thing about how loads of them don't want to be there. Like loads of them don't want to be Space Marines. They don't want to be here. They're not bothered about being. They don't really like their dad. They're just like, oh, okay, fine, I'll murder everybody.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there's a bit like that.
It's going to be really hard to read a Night Lord's book. Yeah. Now, we do know why the Red Gauntlets thing. I know it's so random, but I do love those little bits of lore.
You have met them because they're in the big fight that Lorgar has where he's almost killed by Corax.
But I don't remember it.
Oh, okay, well.
I don't remember Little Red Hands.
Little Red Hands aren't mentioned that much then.
No. What is my opinion of Kurz, Sevatar and the Night Lads? Now,
the interesting thing here is what's your opinion of Lionel Bloody Richie and his useless tendency to just try and punch everybody?
Lionel Del Richie, he reminds me a little bit of, someone from Made in Chelsea. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because he's like laconic. He's a bit useless. He's sulky.
He's really sulky.
He pretends to be honourable, but he's stabby.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a waste of space.
He's a complete arsehole. Constantly.
He's not a good
dude. But he's completely convinced that he's the best.
I mean,
He's 100% convinced he should have been War Master. He should be leading everything. Everyone should listen to him.
well, he was the first Legion.
But he was like the 16th to be found.
I suppose.
So everyone else had been there for 100 years by the time everyone discovered Lionel Johnson.
He was born into a feudal knight system where you see the best knights lead, right? But you can't be the boss if your dad prefers other people. It's a really interesting thing. What I picked up most about this was the countenance, how different the Night Lord's physiology is.
Yeah.
And how they fight is so different.
Yeah.
It's even different with the wolves, because the wolves go in, but they weapon, so I found that really interesting.
There's a whole Night Lord thing. We'll get to them when we start to encounter them more. You don't see them a lot in the Heresy, but their whole thing is like they're terror weapons. They were founded as a terror weapon. So their job is to slaughter horrifically, like skins attached to the lamppost sort of thing. Spooky, lurking behind you like a monster in the darkness, and terrorize the planet into submission. If you've got planets that will not bend the heel, you send in the Night Lords, they skin a city, and then go, right, capitulate, we'll do it to all of you. And it's that. And
they skin a city.
That sort of thing, yeah. And it's all incredibly spooky, and it's like people on jump packs coming down at night time, kill all the lights, broadcast threats over the hijacked Vox network, and then skin a city. And then the planet will turn to the Imperium, with really easily and really uncompliant. But their entire planet is like organised crime planet.
Oh no!
And they send all the worst people to the Night Lords, so they're all horrible mass murderers. Or also like why am I here? I don't want to be here. Yeah. And Kurz is really like black and white justice person, and eventually, at some point in the Heresy, basically, they get more and more extreme, while the Empire's like, yeah, we maybe don't need as much of the murdering. We did at the start, but maybe now we're getting to be like a civilized, maybe you tone it down a bit.
Okay.
And they're off like slaughtering a planet for fun. So they're almost renegades before the Heresy comes out, because they're basically going, well, you made us to do this.
Yeah.
This was your intention for our Legion, was to be terror weapons.
Yeah.
And now you're like, don't do that. It's horrible. No, you didn't think it was horrible 100 years ago.
No. Oh gosh, I really don't want to read the Night Lords books.
Kurz is a proper villain who's also like, I feel wronged because you made me to do this and now I'm not about to do it anymore. And all of his sons are like, oh, instead of Nostromo, their planet sending like the best warriors, over the time while they're away campaigning, Nostromo just sends the worst criminals to become the Space Marines.
Great.
Yeah, it just goes downhill. So they've got this whole thing about like, they don't fight with honor. They don't see any point. They don't. Yeah. They're going to rip someone to shreds in as big as the tabletop rules for the Night Lords. So they get bonuses if they outnumber someone.
Oh no. Oh.
Yeah, if they outnumber the other unit, they're better at fighting.
Well, I mean, I think I've had a very gentle introduction to them in this instance, for which I am glad. But yeah, dreading. Yeah. Let's hope I don't get those 500 subscribers.
So Age of Darkness, as good as the last one? As good as Tales of Heresy?
I think it was better.
Oh, interesting.
And I don't know if that's because I love the stories in
Tales of Heresy,
but I'm more involved in the universe, and there's like stuff's making sense. It's linking up with revisiting things, so I feel like.
And there's a few in here that are weirdly placed. There are a few that definitely do set up the next thing. I do think it's a bit weird that you would put that Raven Guard book in this, but not put the one before it. So now we're still jumping in a weird position.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're jumping in. If you haven't read all the EPUBs, which is interesting because over time, at the time these were being released, the EPUBs were being released regularly and people might have been following them. Oh, there's a new short story.
Yeah.
£1 from the Black Library or whatever. There's no chance that a new person just reading their way through the Heresy has gone and found that EPUB they didn't know they were meant to read before the short story in this that is only there to set up a novel.
Well, you say that.
Yeah.
But then remember that massive map?
No one follows that.
Historically, Aldous.
No one actually reads the Heresy like that. Also, because you can't. It still doesn't give you an order. Yeah.
But, I mean, that's why, you should make more videos about this stuff.
Yeah, I know, right? But it's it's like, I find it a weird choice to put a few of those in where you're like, or even a weird choice to allow them to be written. Like, I know they didn't quite know the thing there, but anyone making, all these were written relatively close together. Surely anyone making that decision would go, right, the events of the first Raven Guard short and the second Raven Guard short both need to be mushed together
Yeah.
so that we can put one thing in a book in the main series that introduces your novel.
Well, it's funny you say that.
It's just, yeah.
I've heard that
People are just going like, oh, I want to write about that. Oh, there's a book.
I've heard one of the stories in this book got written because John French happened to sit next to Christian Dunn on a coach from Nottingham on a day out and said, oh, I've got a pitch for a book.
Did they go and see a great big cave, upside down cave?
But Christian Dunn was like, well, I couldn't get out. I was on the coach and it sounded, okay, yeah, you can.
Lake of Oil, you say?
Yeah. So if you were in Nottingham in these days...
That's Rob Sanders. Hold on, which one's the John French? I don't know.
Oh, John French. Look at this search function. The Last Remembrancer.
Oh, yeah.
So it might not be in the story, but yeah, and I think, you know, also
it's about a man trapped in a prison, like Christian Dunn was.
in the bus.
Yeah.
And as well, like, for example, you know, flipping out, had something good to say. It's gone. But there are, no, so Nick Kime, for instance, Salamander, had written loads of them, could make up for no other Salamander mention by doing a Salamander short story.
And 55 novels.
Oh, I can't wait till we get to those.
You say that now. Right. Well, there we go. That was Age of Darkness. Bastard scale. Who are the bastards in the Age of Darkness? The Age of Bastardness.
Oh, my gosh.
Well...
Can I just say the indelible lasting impression of one of the nastiest was Khan.
Khan, punching people's heads off.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Even seeing the light of like potential, you know, just going back through this has made me think of that.
I'm interested you've got Kurz and Sevatar on there, but not the lion.
Well, the lion is just doing his cowardly lion.
Cowardly lion.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're on there because, you know, who they associate with, to be quite honest. Sevatar, like, you know, I was horrible, the chainsaw off
his head. That's, you know,
Sevatar, that's what he does, yeah. Kurz, I don't know, it was a bit humanised in a way. I don't know.
So 2 questions for Age of Darkness. Which of the stories did you enjoy the most, or go as far as to be the favourite in the collection, be it in terms of raw plot, events, character? For me, it's toss up between The Last Remembrancer and Little Horus. Says Rob Sothoth. Mine are probably Liar's Due I enjoy. Mm-hmm. I think The Iron Within's the best story.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Really, really hard for me to choose. I think maybe Little Horus, just because I felt very connected to those first 3 books.
I like the way that one's written.
It's written so beautifully.
And also, one of the very first chances to see White Scars in action.
Yes. And then I really enjoyed Iron Within. I was surprised how much I loved it. I love Liar's Due because it felt so different. Rules of Engagement, because it's the first time I've been able to enjoy, like, someone's written so I can enjoy the tactics and everything. But, you know, all of them. Rebirth, I hated. But
no, I think, Rebirth is the Face of Treachery. Face of Treachery, I thought,
Rebirth, violent, hated it, but the writing was so beautiful and it was great. They're all good. I did not like them.
Right. Thomas Oliver says, in Rebirth, Khan tells Calliston he's there for intel on the Thousand Suns. We later found out that he's not there for that at all. He's just there for bloodlust. Would this not be a complete waste of time, considering the Space Wolves have already leveled Prospero and have no knowledge that Callisto was going to return? Thanks. Agree. It's a waste of time. Why is he there?
Well, I mean, there is that little plot point.
But I'm really angry. I'm going to travel halfway across the galaxy to kill an empty world of no Thousand Suns. It just seems weird.
I'm going to go with the concept that they thought they were like devices or artifacts that could have helped.
MacGuffins.
The MacGuffins.
Okay.
I mean, the thing is, I'm exhausted that every single person in one of these stories could have been quite bastardly.
Well, let's do some quick fire bastardry.
Well,
ready?
Shouldn't you do this? Because I did all the work.
That's a good point. Yeah,
okay,
right, great,
Kurz.
Yeah, 7.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sevatar.
6.
Okay. Little Horus.
3.
Yeah. He got his face sliced off.
He's sad.
Yes. Warsmith Crendel.
He's a bastard, but he's not a good enough bastard.
No.
He's not the point. I don't know, like a nominal 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Mendax, the liar from Liar's Duel.
He's quite cool though, isn't he?
No.
Okay, fine. 6.
He's quite cool. He's lighting up little villages.
Fine,
6. Fine. We're so different. Dawn.
37.
No.
No, Dawn's not a bastard. Let's not make Dawn the bastard.
No.
Solomon Voss was an idiot.
Yeah.
That's actually Solomon Voss did a very silly thing.
But he could have imprisoned him for life. He didn't have to slay him.
Do you think after John French told Christian Dunn, so the story of The Last Remembrancer is about a man who insists on sitting in a prison with Rogal Dawn telling him stories. And then Rogal Dawn kills him. Like, what did Christian Dunn do to John French?
Publish.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We've done Age of Darkness. Thank you, Mira, for doing the notes. And there we are. We're going to go on to Deliverance Lost next, and you can have a lovely time listening to My Chemical Romance with a Raven Guard.
Yay! Wonderful.
If you'd like to follow any of us or do our things, you've got multiple interviews with the authors about the short stories in this on your channel. It's below. I probably talk about lore or something.
Yeah, Ian's got loads of amazing lore videos and merch at the moment.
Yeah, we both have merch.
Patrons.
Yeah.
And you can become members on our YouTube channels as well.
And if you, if this popped up in your front screen of YouTube, it might be because it's been suggested to you, but you aren't actually subscribed because this is the second channel. So like and subscribe. See, look, we're content creators. Like and subscribe.
Arbiter Ian's Precinct House. Ding, ding, ding. Ooh.
Cool. Thanks. Oh, that's bad. Yeah. Cool. Brilliant. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.